Hey YouTube, Big Star 1000, yet another installment of Isolation Revolutions. You know the drill. If you've been watching this, you know what I'm doing. I'm showing you some records. Try to be informed and interesting about them, but not always successful. You tell me. Just before I was making this video, I was digging on this fantastic live record, Bill Evans. It's a trio with Eddie Gomez on bass and Martin Morell on drums. This is Montreux #2 on CTI. Came out in, I think, in 1971. This is a Japanese pressing. It's a fantastic live date, really dynamic. You know what you've come to expect of Bill Evans around that time. There's a Montreux #1 as well that exists, but I don't have that. I've got this one. I really can't get enough of Bill Evans at the moment. I can't get enough of jazz, full stop, but Bill Evans. And in fact, I have a second Bill Evans record that I've been spinning recently, which is the Bill Evans, the same trio of Eddie Gomez and Martin Morell, augmented with Jeremy Steig, which makes for a great addition. Some fantastic soloing on this. There's a really great version of So What by Miles Davis, and interesting because Bill Evans played the piano on So What on the original version. So. But the whole record is great. Straight No Chaser, the Monk tune, very good. 1969, just a bit before the Montreux there. So I'll stay with jazz, and this morning when I woke up, I put this on. It's nice to put some relaxing, almost easy listening music in the morning. You just wake up and it's not a record that I play often enough. Ballads. It's the great quartet of John Coltrane, the classic quartet, and it does what it says on the tin. It's ballads, and they're beautifully played. This is the Japanese pressing of the record. Just really fantastic, so classy, so understated. There's nothing overplayed on this. Very essential Coltrane record. There's a lot of jazz in there, but I've tried to intersperse it with other things. You don't get hammered with 20 jazz records in one go. The first album by Wayne Shorter on Blue Note, and his first album as a band leader is Night Dreamer from 1960, maybe 59 or something like that. I don't know, you can look it up. A great lineup again: Lee Morgan, Wayne Shorter, McCoy Tyner, Reggie Workman and Elvin Jones. Superb record. I don't know, did I mention this record in the last Revolution? I can't remember, because you know, sometimes I play them and I replay them. I played this just before the Bill Evans today again. Sensational hard bop. Yeah, just check it out. It's great. Sadly, 3 days ago, the French icon of 70s French progressive pop, Christophe, passed away. Christophe, I've spoken, if you're a follower of this channel, I've spoken about Christophe a million times. Christophe passed away as a result of COVID-19. He was 75 years old or something like that, 70, maybe even 80 years old. And this is his finest moment on record, undoubtedly, Les Paradis Perdus. which is a collaboration between him and Jean-Michel Jarre. This is a jewel of French progressive pop, you know, in the same, you could put in the same bracket as Histoire de Mélodie Nelson by Serge Gainsbourg, or you know the first couple of Michel Polnareff records. It's just brilliant. Check it out. There's a track that you could check out called Ferber Endormi, the very last track, just to give you a good idea. This is a French original, and so is this one. I played two of them. I played this one too, which is Samouraï. Not quite of the level of Les Paradis Perdus, but you know, just a notch below, but very, very good nonetheless. From the same time, 1976. This is from 1974 or something. Am I right? 1973, actually, yeah. So, beautiful, beautiful records. Very highly recommended. And since I'm talking about French music, a little segue. My absolute favorite Brigitte Fontaine record. I love Brigitte Fontaine as well. I think she's idiosyncratic, brilliant lyricist, songwriter, and a collaboration with her partner, husband, Areski Belkacem is always worth hearing. And they've made a lot of records together, and there's some great records to check out, like Comme à la radio, or the one with the question mark, that's why I said question. Brigitte Fontaine est folle. But of all the records that she made, I think this one's still the one that I go back to the most. I love this. This is a record that was released on BYG. Big records, superb record, un incendie. And I think there's some really amazing tracks on this. Il pleut sur la gare is brilliant. Anyway, check it out. To segue with from a female singer to another female singer. This is Julie Tippett, formerly known as Julie Driscoll. This is probably her finest moment on record, Sunset Glow. She was in the Brian Auger and Trinity band, and then she married Keith Tippett, the UK jazz pianist, and she then made record under the name Julie Tippett with an extra S. I never understood why, but and this is often described as a female equivalent to Robert White's Rock Bottom, and you know there's you know the comparison is justified. I mean, you know, the band that's behind there is a very sort of, it's a jazz band really, rather it's kind of like a folk record but with a jazz band, and then it sort of goes into a territory which is neither folk nor jazz nor rock. It's like Rock Bottom, you know. This is an amazing record. I think everyone should hear this. It's beautiful. It's from 1975, Sunset Glow by Julie Tippett. Another classic UK record that everybody should own is Solid Air by John Martin. Just a fantastic piece of music from start to finish. One of the highlights of folk jazz, in the same basket as Nick Drake, if you like Nick Drake. And the opening track, Solid Air, is to die for, and it's a dedication to Nick Drake actually. 1973. It could just be the best album of 70s. Oh no, there's so many of them. Hey VC, it's me again. This video, as you can see, the light will look different because I had to interrupt my my video this afternoon. You could probably tell the time difference on the clock there, because I had to tend to some work things, and I just had to interrupt my train of thought, and we'll try to recapture this. I very rarely make videos at night because the light is not so great, you know, but it seems to be okay. I was just about to talk. I talked about Solid Air, and I was just going to talk about Ravi Shankar. Last week, in the last installment of Revolutions, I was talking about the soundtrack to Chapaka, and I was saying that this was the occasion, the moment where Ravi Shankar met Philip Glass, and it actually got me to revisit this record here, which I want to take out of the sleeve because it's a very, well, probably won't make any difference because it's so bright. Probably see the reflection of the camera in it. This is Ravi Shankar and Philip Glass, Passages. This is a record from 1990, which is, yeah, a fusion of minimalist music with Indian, Hindustani raga style music, and works really, really well. It's not a record that I play an awful lot, but because of the context of playing Chapaka, I thought, oh, I'll just play this as well. It is a really, really highly recommended piece of music. If you like minimal music, if you like the style of Philip Glass, you know, these kind of repetitive motifs, and the songs sort of alternate between, you know, a very heavily Philip Glass track to a very heavily Ravi Shankar track. Really like this, it's beautiful. I'll segue to another Indian record. This is a fantastic, another fantastic raga record. This is Ali Akbar Khan, and this is called Pre-Dawn to Sunrise Raga and Morning Raga. That's what it's called. It's a Japanese pressing on Philips. Where was it pressed? On King Records maybe, or something. It's very, very, very nicely pressed. I don't know who pressed this, but yeah, Ali Akbar Khan. There he is. He is the master of the sarod, which is a little bit like a sitar, but somewhat different sounding. Yeah, pre-dawn to sunrise raga and morning ragas. That's what it's called. Ali Akbar Khan. Very, 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 very highly recommended. Great for the morning as well. I was saying about ballads by John Coltrane. Similar. Another great morning record that you can chill out to. Actually, I've got 2 or 3 of these. Great to chill out to is this album by the Third Ear Band. The Third Ear Band were an English, what would you call this? This is a mixture of folk, jazz and ambient music, maybe, kind of in between. Yeah, it's instrumental. It's got percussion, oboe, violin and viola, cello. So this is the instrumentation that you get this in there. So, you know, you've got a very sort of drony, rhythmic kind of classical sounding backdrop. It's beautiful music. Yeah, it's a mix of ambient and jazz and a bit of folk. Yeah, beautiful. And what's the record called? Just the 30th Band. It's an original pressing. I hadn't played for a while, but it's beautiful. And another great morning record is this. I was talking about American primitive music a couple of weeks ago, and so I made me want to play this record, this fantastic record, The Transfiguration of Blind Joe Death. Probably John Fahey's most complete record. This is not an original press, I think it's a second pressing. It has a mighty booklet of explanations inside, which I've never really opened. Just goes to show. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic record from, I don't know, the 70s. I'm guessing. There's no date on this. Highly recommended. Sort of acoustic guitar, country blues with an avant-garde leaning. Some krautrock. We like krautrock here. Just before I was remaking this video, I was playing Noi. I'm going to show you. I'll show you this record next time. This is Agitation Free with Malesh, a reissue of Malesh. One of the probably high-water marks of krautrock. Although this is a very special brand of krautrock, it's a lot more psychedelic and more ethnic as well. They incorporate sounds from the Middle East in their music a lot. Agitation Free. But the mixture of sounds is really interesting and always very ever-evolving kind of brand of krautrock. But how to describe this is very difficult. Yeah, a bit of ethno, fusion, and psychedelia, and progressive rock mixed together. Some more krautrock. This is Synthesis by Harald Grosskopf, a Berlin School record, very much in the vein of Peter Baumann or Klaus Schulze or Tangerine Dream. These are the records that you are looking at. Very pulsating synth record, just beautiful, and recorded in Berlin in 1981. Originally released on Sky Records. This is a Bureau B reissue. Really highly recommend. If you like progressive electronic music from Germany, no doubt will enjoy this. It's beautiful. Segue with another electronic record, a synth record, and this time it's this wonderful album by JJ Bernal. I don't even know which side because the cover is exactly the same on both sides, almost. With the Pompidou Center, which is the modern art gallery in Paris, which is on the poster behind me somewhere there, on the yellow poster. JJ Bernal was the bass player in the Stranglers, and this is his debut solo record. It's a very again pulsating synth post-punk record. I think, in my opinion, is better than anything that the Stranglers ever did. I really rate this. It's beautiful. Very highly recommended. Excellent. There's lots of records there because I've got lots of time at my home. So, a trio of killer New York records. The fabulous debut by the Talking Heads, 1977. There they are, looking young as ever. David Byrne and company. And this is the album that's brought them to the world, and it features Psycho Killer, which everybody knows, but the whole album is great. Like the opening song is amazing. New Feeling, Don't Worry About the Government. Well, yeah, Do Worry About the Government. Fantastic New York record from 1977. Also from 1977, and also from New York, is one of the best albums ever made. This is Television with Marky Moon. Obviously, it's another one of those records that you should own, really. It's a completely enthralling listen. And it's not a punk record, it's never been a punk record. People placed it in the punk era because it's from 77, it's from New York, it's from the same scene as Blondie and the Talking Heads and all these bands. But really, it's not really a punk record. It's an art rock record, in my opinion. I was lucky enough to see Television play this entirely from start to finish a few years ago, but I'd say maybe not, like 8 to 10 years ago. And it was really worth seeing Tom Verlaine just doing this stuff. It's just amazing. It's fresh as ever. It's one of the best. Another one of the best from New York. It's a record that I've had several versions of, several copies of, and this is the latest copy of this record. I got this record when I was in my early 20s, and I had it on cassette, I had it on CD, I had it for the longest time, and I bit the bullet a couple of years ago and I bought this reissue, maybe 3-4 years ago. I don't know, when did that, 2012, ooh, that was a while back. And got this reissue, which sounds great. Transformer, Lou Reed, classic, every track's amazing. Tracks about transvestites, stories about living in New York in the 70s and having to, deal with, Andy Warhol, basically. If you listen to Andy's Chest, that's great. Another record from that time period, but not a New York record, a record from Birmingham in England, UB40, with signing off. The debut record by UB40, in my opinion, and this is just my humble opinion, maybe the best UK reggae record ever made. Maybe. One of, at least in the top 5. Everything about this record is just, it's amazing. It's an amazing piece of music. And if you are dismissing UB40 because you think that you've got, preconceived ideas about them, please don't. This is fantastic. This is an amazing, amazing record. Listen to, there's a great track called Food for Thought. Listen to Food for Thought. And if that doesn't win you, I don't know what will. Okay, I'll finish off with a lot of jazz records and the like. Jazz is just what I'm obsessed with at the moment. The first one is not a jazz record, actually. It's a classical record. It's a some renditions of Erik Satie by Bill Quist on Windham Hill. It's a beautiful, beautiful record. And it's just the classic Satie, Gymnopédie and Sarabande, all the classic Satie, Gnossienne, 1, 2 and 3. It's not a patch on Aldo Cicciolini, I think, in terms of the interpretation, but it's still a very, 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 very beautiful solo piano record. So Erik Satie on Windham Hill. Some jazz. Some absolutely essential jazz. The Bridge by Sonny Rollins. This guy is a whiz, like a total whiz. The sax, he totally masters that instrument. You could argue that, he's the best that ever was. It's just so, the way he blows, it's amazing. So this record, 1962, features Jim Hall on guitar, Ben Riley on drums. Just a fantastic record. The Bridge. It's got a version of God Bless the Child. Amazing stuff. I always have a little spot for Sandra. And this is beautiful too. This is Nothing Is, Sandra. A great free jazz record, but very, very accessible free jazz. Like it's not abrasive or anything. You can really, really digest this. If you want to venture into free jazz and you don't know what to, I suggest Ornette Coleman, big time. But these records, these Sandra records, they're really quite good to get into free jazz. This was released originally in 1966 on ESP or something. This is not an original though, it's a repress. But it's alright, it's fine. And because I was listening to this Sandra, I decided to pull out this other Sandra, which is a more recent reissue, Disco 3000. It's not even a reissue. I don't think. I think it was never before issued, and it was released by Kindred Spirit in 2009. It's got versions of Disco 3000 is basically Space is the Place. It's another version of Space is the Place. And at the time, I just saw this cover. I just couldn't resist. I mean, couldn't resist a new Sandra record, especially when they're that cool. I was also digging into Mingus quite a bit yesterday. I was playing a couple of Mingus records, and look, Mingus to me is one of the key four for my jazz. Miles and Train and Monk, and Mingus would be the four horsemen of the jazz apocalypse. And I mean, Mingus was a top-notch composer. He was an amazing arranger, and he was the ace of bass. And this record is proof of that. It's just, Passions of a Man. What a great song! What a great track! Beautiful. So I was talking about Miles a second ago. Well, may as well talk about Miles. Get Up With It. A great fusion record, a landmark fusion record, really. One of the best. I mean, people talk about Bitches Brew and On the Corner and, those records. I think my personal favorite is still Tribute to Jack Johnson. That's my preference, but this is such a great experimental record. There's a bit of Can in there, I reckon. And you listen to it and you just go, there could be a bit of crack rock in here. Get Up With It. The opening track, he loved him madly with the flutes and stuff. It's killer. Okay, a couple more. If you're bored, you can switch me off. The Way Ahead by Archie Shepp, another amazing sax player. I was talking about Henry Rollins before, but what can you say? This is also a great free jazz record, very accessible as well. If you're looking into free jazz and you want something that's quite approachable, easy. You can approach this. Frankenstein. Listen to Frankenstein. That's a track and a half. This is an original Impulse pressing on fantastic laminate cardboard. I love it. It's so good. And one last one to finish off. And this one is a Japanese jazz record. It's called Bamboo, I think. Yeah. By Minoru Muraoka. Minoru, if you'll focus, you never know. Japanese flautist. And what this is basically their Western standards played with Japanese traditional instruments like the bamboo flute and the koto and so on. And it's got Take 5. The opening song is Take 5 by the Dave Brubeck group. Fantastic. Amazing rendition, I think. And you've got Enna Lover by the Beatles, and you've got The House of the Rising Sun, Scarborough Fair by Simon Garfunkel. It's a great. It was a reissue on Superfly from a few years back. Very high quality repress. There you go. I'll stop here, and I hope you enjoy, and talk to me. All the rest. Don't get sick if that's possible. And I love you all. See you, VC.